Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the topic disposal of sewage. Okay, there are various methods to disposal the sewage. The first method is a natural method by which either by dilution or by land treatment. Dilution is nothing but we can dispose the sewage into a water body, either it may be a river, lake, pond or sea, and the disposal on land treatment. It is in an open land we are going to dispose the sewage. It is undergo the percolation as well as degradation takes place in the presence of sun in an open atmosphere. Next, artificial method, it is nothing but if the sewage is containing large amount of contaminants which need to be treated by a artificial method. It is either a primary treatment or secondary treatment by which we can able to remove the various contaminants. The combined method, after the treatment process the sewage can be disposed into the either by dilution or by land treatment, so that the impact due to the contaminants on the environment can be minimized when we are making use of this combined method. After a primary treatment, a part of contaminants can be removed. After that, by natural method we can dispose the sewage. Okay, in this lecture we are going to detailedly discuss about the natural method, that is by dilution process we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, this is the standard values whether the sewage is disposed into a surface water body or into a public sewer. In order to minimize the impact of the sewage water on the environment as well as into the treatment plant, we can minimize the various parameters is listed over here and the ranges are mentioned over here, so that the contaminant level can be minimized and the impact on the environment as well as in the water body can be minimized, and the aquatic organisms can be saved from the harmful effect due to the disposal of the sewage. Okay, the dilution, it is nothing but the discharging of waste water into a receiving a water body, either a river, sea or lake. The condition, that is the it should contain sufficient amount of oxygen to reduce the organic substance, that is the BOD, biodegradable organic substance need to be get degraded, which required oxygen for a bacteria to degrade the organic substance. And in order to safeguard the aquatic lives, it requires a minimum dissolved oxygen level of 4 milligram per liter for the survival of the aquatic lives. Okay, next, the condition for dilution, that is without treatment, if we are going to dispose the sewage into a water body, the waste water should be quite fresh, that is once it is generated, the waste which is generated from either a industry or from a individual houses, it need to be fresh and it should be free from floating and settlable solids, because this waste substance, if it is containing a floating substance, it may create a unpleasing effect on the water body, and the settlable particles may get deposited and it may undergo degradation and it may lead to a production of foul gases in the water body, and the water volume should be higher. In order to favor a dilution process, we require a large volume of water compared to the quantity of the sewage water, and the water should contain, as we mentioned earlier, the dissolved oxygen level should be higher to ensure the degradation of biodegradable substance, as well as in order to maintain a safe environment for the aquatic organisms, and there should be a proper mixing need to be taken place for a dilution process as the mixing take place, so that the degradation as well as dispersion of the contaminants can take place by proper mixing, and it should contain enough currents which ensures the proper mixing process. Next, there should not be any toxic substance, because this toxic substance may affect the aquatic organisms, and the water should not be a source of drinking water. If it is used for drinking purpose, it need to be treated before it is disposed into a sewage water. Okay, next, what are the condition under which the treatment is required before dilution? If the water body is containing aquatic life, in order to safeguard the aquatic life, we need to treat the sewage water, either a primary treatment or a partial secondary treatment is required, so that the dissolved oxygen level can be maintained in a particular range to safeguard the aquatic life, and if it is containing any toxic substance, it need to be removed before disposing into a water body, and the volume of diluting water, that is the water should be sufficient enough to dilute the sewage water, and the receiving water, if it is a source of drinking water, we need to do a treatment process so that the level of contaminants concentration can be minimized in order to safeguard the water body. And if receiving water is used for navigation, as well as if the wastewater is not fresh, that is if it is containing some foul substance and it is creating a bad environment near the water body, it need to be treated before it is disposed into a water body. Okay, next, if there is no sufficient amount of tide or wind, if the water is stagnant and it is not flowing, then there will not be any the tides, as well as there is any obstruction in the surrounding environment, the wind movement also will be less, so that the currents will not be sufficient enough to disperse the sewage. Okay. Next is the dilution factor, which it is the ratio between the receiving water and the wastewater or effluent quantity. For example, if my water quantity along with the sewage, if it is 1000 and the sewage quantity is 2 ml, then the dilution factor, it is total quantity of water plus wastewater is 1000, out of which 2 ml is my wastewater. Next, the ratio is 1000 divided by 2, I will be getting this factor as 500. If it is above 500, then I no need to treat this sewage, directly I can dispose. It ensures that there is sufficient amount of water is available to dilute the sewage. Next, if in case if the range of the dilution factors between 300 to 500 and I need to treat the sewage by primary treatment, and followed by if the dilution factors in the range of 150 to 300, I need to treat either by coagulation, sedimentation, so that floating substance and other suspended impurities can be minimized. And if it is less than 500, then I need to treat the sewage completely in order to ensure that is a water body should be safe for the aquatic lives, as well as the environmental conditions should be favor in that particular surrounding area. So, in order to ensure that, I need to check the dilution factor. It is nothing but the amount of the volume of water availability in a particular receiving water, so that I can able to discharge my sewage into the particular water body. Next, the type of receiving water for dilution. It is either we can discharge into a perennial river or streams, or into lakes, ocean or sea, estuaries, creeks. These are the various water bodies on which we can able to dispose the sewage by this dilution method. Okay, next, the process under dilution, that is river water has a capability to purify on its own. That is, once the sewage is disposed into a water body, after a particular distance from the disposal point, it will undergo purification by various factors. That is, initially the bacteria which plays a major role in the degradation of organic substance, and it converts the organic substance into ammonia and oxides of nitrogen, sulfur and carbon. And next, the oxidation process takes place, where the dissolved oxygen in the water body is utilized by the bacteria for the degradation process. There will be decrease in the oxygen due to utilization of the oxygen for degradation. Next, once the degradation is completed, next the oxygen level keeps on increasing by the re-aeration process, by which the wind energy, that is the air from the atmosphere, get transferred into the water body, and the oxygen level will be increased by re-aeration. Once the oxygen level is stabilized, next the plants, algae, which utilize the carbon dioxide, and it releases the oxygen into a water body, which also increases the oxygen level. Okay, these are the various factors which influence the self purification process. The first, dilution, it is nothing but, as we mentioned earlier, the fresh water is mixed along with the sewage water. Here the concentration of the any particular substance, for example the organic substance, in terms of organic substance if we are measuring the concentration. Next, Cs, it represents the amount of organic substance present in the sewage. Qs represents the rate of discharge in a sewage, and Cr represents the amount of organic substance, the concentration of organic substance in the river water, and Qr represents the quantity of the flow or discharge in a river water, and the ratio, that is Cs Qs plus Cr Qr divided by total discharge, that is discharge in the river as well as the discharge of sewage, will provide the concentration of the particular substance. As we mentioned now, it may be the organic substance or any particular substance, either hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, those concentration we can measure with this relationship. Next, dispersion takes place. Once we mix the sewage into a water body, it get dispersed through the high amount of currents which is produced in that particular region. Next, the settling will take place, where the suspended impurities will keep on depositing at the bottom of the water body, and it will be undergoing anaerobic degradation, that is in the absence of oxygen, because at the top of the water body the atmosphere oxygen will transfer will be taking place. When the depth is above 1 meter, the atmospheric oxygen will not able to get penetrate, so it will be undergoing degradation by anaerobic process. Next, oxidation, the aerobic bacteria which utilizes the oxygen present in the water body and it will degrade the organic substance. Next, the factor is reduction. Once the organic substance is undergoing the degradation process, that is the organic substance is reduced into lipids and gases, it is a process of reduction, and the temperature plays a major role in the purification process. If the temperature is high, self purification will be lesser, within a shorter time it will be able to degrade the organic substance, and if the temperature is low, the rate of decomposition will be slow. Next, the sunlight, which supports a microorganism to absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, and it also stimulates the growth of algae. Through algae bacteria symbiosis, the purification will be taking place in the presence of the sunlight. Next, this is the various zones of a water body, where it is a point where the water is clear. Once the sewage is mixed over this particular point, then the oxygen level will be keep on depleting below a saturated level. Next, after this particular region, where here the decomposition, active decomposition will be taking place, so the oxygen level will be keep on decreasing up to this particular level, then it will be keep on increasing. It is a place where recovery, that is re-oxygenation, will be taking place, and the water will be again, it will be get purified. This is the various zone where the degradation of organic substance will be taking place, and the purification of a water body will be taking place in this particular region, where these are the points where the what are the substance that is present in this particular region, and what are the aquatic living beings that are present in the each and every region. That is, for example, this is the place where the oxygen level is completely depleted. If it is less than 40%, it will not be supporting for the life of aquatic organisms. So, there will not be any fish will be present in this particular region. After this region, once the oxygen level it is increasing, then the other fish or other aquatic living beings will able to survive in that particular region. Okay. As we mentioned now, the first zone, it is zone of degradation. It is the first where the outfall sewer, it is mixed into a water body. First, initially the oxygen level will be decreasing below 40% from the saturated level, and there will be increase in the carbon dioxide content. Next, the re-aeration, the oxygen transfer from atmosphere will be slower in this particular place. Next, the decomposition will be taking place. Next, the zone of active decomposition, where the organic substance will be undergoing degradation, where the pollutants will be larger and the water will be grey and darker color in this zone. Next, the dissolved oxygen will be almost 0, where the active decomposition will be utilizing the oxygen, and the anaerobic condition will be taking place over here. So, there will not be any sufficient amount of oxygen. So, the fish or other aquatic lives will not be able to survive. Next, after this point, the re-aeration will be takes place, and there will be increase in the DO level up to 40% in this decomposition zone. Next, recovery. Once the degradation take place completed, the oxygen level will be keep on increasing by re-oxygenation process, where the oxygen level rises above 40% and the aquatic lives reappears, and the fungi amount of the fungi will be decreasing and the algae will be keep on reappearing after this particular zone, that is a recovery. Next, the final is clear water. Once the complete degradation completed, then the reoxygenation take place, then the DO level will be increased to the saturated and which will be higher than the biodegradable content. Next, the oxygen balance is attained. Next, based on the deoxygenation re-aeration process, the oxygen sag analysis is done. That is, this graph is plotted between the distance in a water body to a dissolved oxygen level, where initially the saturated level of oxygen will be keep on decreasing to a particular level. It is a critical point where the oxygen will be depleted less than the 40%, that is from the saturated level, then it will be keep on increasing and it will be reaching the saturated level. Okay, the difference between the saturated oxygen level and the amount of dissolved oxygen present the particular time or a particular distance will, the difference will provide the amount of deficit, that is oxygen deficit or oxygen sag. It is the difference between saturated DO to the actual DO. Next, the deoxygenation, that is there initially, as we mentioned, during the decomposition the oxygen will be keep on utilized. So, there will be increase in the decrease in the oxygen level. The rate of deoxygenation, it depends on the amount of organic substance and the favorable temperature and conditions will lead to the deoxygenation process. Next, this curve is represented depletion of oxygen with time, that is the dissolved oxygen along y axis and the distance is marked along x axis, and the deoxygenation, it is the curve which is drawn over here. Once the degradation is over, the reoxygenation will take place. Here up to this particular point, the rate of re-aeration will be minimum, that is the supply of oxygen from atmosphere will be taking place from the initial period itself, but it will be keep on recovering after a complete decomposition is over in the water body. Okay, up to this is the curve of re-aeration. Here the re-aeration from the initial, there will be taking place. During the decomposition there will be rapid decrease in the oxygen level. So, level of re-oxygenation will be lesser up to this particular point. Once the critical point where the complete degradation is over, next there will be a recovery of the water body, that is re-aeration will be taking place. Okay, this combined curve is known as oxygen deficit curve, that is re-oxygenation and deoxygenation is combined together. Okay, this is the curve which we have discussed earlier. Initially decrease in oxygen, next after this critical point completion of degradation, oxygen level will be increasing and it will be reaching the saturated level. After this particular point the water will be clean. Here it is a point where if we are mixing our wastewater or sewage into a water body, then due to degradation oxygen level will be depleting. Okay, thank you.